Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Biz Meds. We are your hosts. My name is Saad.
And my name is Darris.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode. In today's episode, we're talking about how businesses continue their journey, how they continue their growth, the development, and a lot of people constantly keep asking is like, yeah, once I launch my business or start my business, how do I make sure that it continues to have the energy, the drive to get to the goals that you
Speed, the
the-
velocity.
exactly.
How do we create that velocity,
Yeah.
that speed to move?
Yeah. And it's one of those questions because it's important, right?
Well, for most business owners, they are looking to grow.
Yeah,
right?
nobody wants
And-
to just start and then not ever have it go anywhere.
That's the whole point.
Yes.
We just start a business and just let it
yeah,
stay
exactly.
stagnant.
It's gonna do its own thing.
Yeah, it's gonna do. It's gonna grow on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is that when you launch a business or when you go and you're wanting to grow, we all know inherently that it takes, like, we want it to happen as fast as possible, and usually, so what that happens is, okay, we talk about speed, right, velocity, and that, and so it's how do we create, like, how do you continue to create that velocity in your business always, and so that's what we'll dive into today, and what is the framework that will always help you anchor back to help you continually achieve that.
Right.
So we're going to revisit. So back our third episode, we introduced it.
Episode 3.
Episode
That's
3. Now
a
we're
long
at
time ago.
49.
Yeah,
It's been a journey.
that's a long time ago.
It feels, because sometimes like we record an episode such a long time,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh yeah, we had to go review that. But the thing is, what we talked about then is just as true now. The only difference is we're going to continue to refine how you as a business owner can relate to it.
Yeah.
Because in that first episode, we probably did a mediocre job at best describing and trying to explain what the
Yeah. Well,
Afterburner Framework is.
and the other thing is, like, a lot of times because we've seen things, they make a lot of sense to us.
Yes.
But for people that have never run into that, it's hard for them to comprehend what we're talking about.
Right.
So the more business owners we talk to, the more we're able to better refine, like, exactly how you're saying, our message, because the message is still the same.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah, how do you then, because the great thing about frameworks, we talked about that early on as well, is that, frameworks distill more complex ideas into more simple ideas. It's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And so when we were, looking in the space that we are with the neuroscience and psychology and that, and how do you help business owners, that was the idea. It was that, okay, well, this is what this essentially boils down to. So when we talk about the Afterburner Framework, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is, for those of you who've ever seen, probably most of us have seen a Top Gun ad, right? Most of us grew up with Top Gun.
the new one or the old one.
See, that's a great thing. It captures all of them.
Yeah.
And we can see what it's like when you hit an afterburner and what that does, right? The amount of speed, additional speed and force that creates. And that is really what we're after today, is how do you create that afterburner effect in your business?
Right.
And so let's do a quick review of what,
Yeah.
when we say afterburner, like why is it afterburner and
Yeah.
how does that make up?
Exactly. And how does it relate to business and just what the
Yeah,
logic
exactly.
is, yeah.
And then we'll dive into like why is that important and how you can use it.
Okay.
So Afterburner really came down to the first kind of few letters of the word is Afterburner. So AFT, which is the first one being A for attention. And it's the thing that you are, obviously your goals and what you're aiming for, right? It's kind of like the heading. And that's where the attention goes to. So that's kind of like where you're
I want that. Yeah.
yeah. And that's what I'm out trying to achieve that. So that's where your attention is.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's important because, for most business owners, like you usually have gone into business. I'll speak for us, we're going into business, or business has a clear intention behind it and what we're trying to achieve, right? So the goals and things that we're trying to achieve to do that. And so that's where the attention is. And that's important because if you don't have that, I mean, how can you expect your business to take any kind of meaningful steps forward if you're not moving towards anything?
Right. Yeah.
And then with that is the F. So F is focus, and that's another, and we purposely kind of divided attention and focus from each other as for this very reason. Is focus is really the energy that you are putting into your attention. So that's the mental energy, all of the things that you're doing to move towards that. And because if you don't have focus, right, your energy is spread wide. It's much harder to move towards what you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
What you have your attention on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So again, you could have attention towards something,
Yes.
but focus is what hones you into it and
Right.
drives you.
It's the
forward with it.
energy that
Yes.
you're channeling into it.
Yeah.
And you can look at, I would encourage you, if you have a hard time viewing or picturing this,
Visualizing, yeah.
is just Google what it's like when a fighter jet throws an afterburner on or taking off, and you will see at the very outlet of the jet engine, they have the flaps, and what they do is they concentrate and they will close in. And what that does is it focuses all the energy, right?
Yeah.
And that creates movement, that creates thrust, propulsion. And so that's what we're doing is that anytime we focus, right, that's what we're lasering into. That's where energy goes. Yeah. And some of the hardest things that happen is that we feel like we're focused on something because we have our attention and focus kind of mixed up,
right,
in terms of like what we think is focus. But then we live perpetual lives and days of we feel like we're perpetually busy, but never achieving anything. So we go through a full day of, oh, I did all these things. I got so much accomplished. But then when we look back, we're like, but I don't really
Didn't
feel
do
like I
anything,
achieved
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I didn't really move forward.
Yeah.
I just got a lot done.
Yeah.
And so then now we can go back to, it's the idea of the things that we're saying yes to and the things we're saying no to. And too often as business owners, I think you'll probably relate to this one as well. I think we all can. I know I can, is that we say yes to way too many things. And as a result, we disperse our focus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we don't have the energy that if we were paying all of that focus into that attention that we were trying to achieve, we would get there much faster, or we would have more things happening. But because we say yes, what it does, it splits our focus.
Yeah.
So it's basically taking all that energy, opening it right up, and it just disperses it.
Yeah.
And as a result, there's not a lot of momentum, not a lot of power moving towards that.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because most business owners, the reason why we are business owners is because we believe we can do everything. We have this idea, or this optimism, call it,
naivety.
Yeah, or naivety that we can do everything. Like, oh yeah, like I can make that happen.
Yeah.
And the truth is you could. It just might take you much longer than instead of focusing on the thing that you could really, really do well. And then, I don't know, like this is going to go on a different tangent, but like, bringing
We've never done that before.
Leveraging like other types of skill sets and
absolutely,
growing that together. And then all together you focus in your energy, and then you go towards where your attention is.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was not a tangent at all. It was exactly it. Because everything we talk about, we've said this before, always comes back. Like everything always reconnects. And this is why we're talking about the Afterburner framework, is because it is a foundational framework, right? If you don't have your attention on the right thing, then that's going to put your heading off.
Yeah.
So you're aimed at something, but if you're aimed over there, well, you're never going to hit the thing that you were trying to hit.
Yeah.
You'd say, okay, well, I want to hit $10 million a year, but your attention, like your goal is actually, you're putting all your attention on something else. Well, you're not going to hit that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And as a result, like any of the energy is not going to be going towards getting to $10 million a year because your attention is elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then you're saying yes, so your focus is then also that momentum's moving somewhere else.
Yeah.
That starts to divert you
Yeah.
a lot. So getting that clarity on where your attention needs to be is first and foremost.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, because as humans, I think we just have attention to a lot of different things. It's the focus that moves you to one or the other.
Yeah. And I think it's still, when I think about, I always still mix up attention and focus. And I think this is why it's really good to keep talking about it, is that, that focus is really that energy, that mental energy, or, all the energy that goes in. And like something can grab our attention, but the focus is saying no and realigning it right away.
Yeah.
And not allowing that energy to be dispersed, but we say no because what we're putting that attention on is much more important.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's easier to start saying no to the things because we're training ourselves to say yes to the things that really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's a really hard thing because of the environment that we are in, right? The technology now that we have today and the amount of messaging that we receive continually without us even realizing it, we are constantly bombarded. It is not a surprise that most of us don't achieve what we say we want to achieve, is because of that just huge environmental distraction and engineered to take our attention and our focus away.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what really separates someone like Alex Hormozi, the Jeff Bezos of the world, like the real, like I would say titans, entrepreneurs, like that. Those are the things that really separate, is because they have developed the skills along the way. So they have, through their knowledge, skill, and ability, their experience, all those things, they've been able to hone those skills so much that it has now, like, we're seeing the results of years of being able to lock in and be focused, say no to a lot of things, ultimately have their attention on the goal, and then say no to a lot of things and be laser focused on that. And as a result, they layer in what we insert the third or the second F into the Afterburner framework is flow state. Because once you're able to start to focus, well, flow will follow focus. And in that state, you become like the 2x, 5x, 10x version of yourself, where your creativity and your productivity is so much higher. You're able to function on such a higher level. You're so locked in that you start to create so much more speed and momentum and velocity. And so we look at these guys and we say, oh, wow, I wish I could do that. But that all starts now. That all starts early by developing the skills, because those are just skills and they can be learned. And that's what we're here for, is to be able to develop that skill, because everything else, right, can be like all of the, like, you learn and you can deploy leverage. So if I need to learn a skill, well, I can start to learn that skill. It's just like managing people, leading people. We're not inherently born with that. We will continue to learn that skill. But then, like you said, we can deploy other leverage, like other people's skills. We'll start to learn how to attract really high quality talent.
Right.
And most of us have never known what it's like to operate around A-level talent, like real A-level talent, because we see what we see, right? We go to a store and it's like, oh, cool. It's just this guy, they're just putting in their time. They really don't give a shit about what's going on. Versus, real true talent that gets paid multi-millions of dollars a year because they have an extreme skill set, right? That you're not managing. Oh, are they going to show up to time on time today? Are they going to know that they need to send these emails, or how to act appropriately in front of other people?
And other clients, and exactly. Yeah. No, that's a good one. So I got a question for you.
Yes.
How do you? I know we're talking about afterburners and like jets, and how do we? What other example can we use that would get the same message across for the people that don't know much about jets?
Then my first advice is to Google Afterburner in a jet fighter
Yeah.
and what that looks like and what it does. There really isn't, we talked about it and we were kind of throwing our brains around saying, is there? No, there really isn't. Like the Afterburner is really a specific to that environment,
Yeah.
to that engine and those things. And what allows you to do is like take your car engine, right? It is designed, you have a certain amount of air and fuel input, certain amount of cylinders, and then you'll be able to achieve whatever speed it is.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, but what an afterburner does is it puts a secondary stage on your back end, allows you to add more energy, more fuel and oxygen in and the unused energy in the exhaust and suddenly kick that out even higher.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you get so much more. It's not something you use all the time, right?
Yeah. It's when you're already like,
And when you
moving.
need it, you can hit it and
Yeah.
it will accelerate you extremely fast, right?
Yeah.
It'll generate so much more force and propulsion.
Right.
And that fits really well with the idea of flow because that's what flow is,
right.
right? So when we normally go around, we're all driving around our vehicles.
Yeah.
Some of us have a 2-cylinder car that barely goes anywhere and we just putts along and as soon as it hits an incline, it stalls out.
Right.
Some people are driving around with a nice big old V10
Yeah.
and that thing just kind of like goes. But then there's the other level of when we add flow, that's like attaching an afterburner into your jet engine.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, I've taken this engine, which could theoretically take me up to 200 miles an hour, 300 miles an hour. And now I can go 500 or 700 miles an hour, like in an instant. And that's what flow state is.
Yeah.
It's that ability to take that attention and focus and add to it and create so much more from it.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense, whenever you hear business owners talking about their businesses, it's like, oh man, it's launching off right now. Like
Yeah.
it's
We talk about, we launch a business.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's what was man, like I'm making crazy sales. It's going light speed at the
Yeah.
moment, right? Like, so a lot of these jet related or
Like
like
rocket.
related-
And because I think for people, it's the easiest thing to to really easily relate to. Like they can relate that idea. It's a really clear framework for people,
yeah.
which is why I think this framework works exceptionally well for people to understand. Like, oh, if I really want to create velocity
Yeah.
and speed in my business, like what am I missing?
Right.
It's not a, fancy new piece of software.
Right.
Most cases.
Yeah.
Right. There might be when you're deploying some type of leverage, but like the starting point for all of that leverage and all of that speed starts with flow state
Right.
and recapturing your attention and your focus. And then we layer in flow state. And that's how we collapse timeframes. Because if you are, let's say you're traveling at 100 miles an hour and your destination is 500 miles away. Well, simple math is it's going to take me 5 hours to get there. But if we can get you to travel 250 miles an hour when we leverage flow state or we hit the afterburner, well, you're going to cut that time in half.
Right.
So that is why we talk about that is we have to leverage our own biology and scale our own biology first and be able to recapture all of the attention and focus that we have put in other places and refocus it. And that might look different for different people, but one of the biggest thing and the most important part of all that is flow state.
Right.
It is the beginning of being able to leverage your mind before you can start to leverage anything else. Because if you cannot leverage that first and foremost, you will not be able to take advantage of all the other things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Now that we like figure out how this relates to, we knew this, but if you could, out of that equation, can you take out any of those things and still be able to make what it is that you're trying to happen? Like, could you?
Well, if you take out flow state,
Yeah.
right? Cool. you will still have your attention, your focus, and time becomes a function. Time is always just a function, right? So time is just really the result of the attention and focus you're putting in. So how quickly are you able to achieve something? Yeah. And I hear all the time, time is your most valuable asset. Mm-hmm. Yes, only in as much as that we're looking to achieve so much in a certain period of time. Right. Because as far as we know, there's no definitive, our time here as we experience it on Earth is finite, right? So we're here for X amount of years, however that may be. And so because time is for us a scarce resource or a finite resource, then it becomes valuable. And it's what we do with that time that actually is the more important thing. Mm-hmm. So let's just say we have, a lifetime, but if we take our attention out, okay, cool. What's your focus going to be on? Right. So that's just basically putting it to anything and you have no heading. So where are you going to end up? Well, if you don't have any goals, then there's no goals to achieve. So live your life. Yeah. So you have a goal, you have what you're putting your attention on, but you have no focus, right? Or you have very little focus. It's going to take you a long time if you ever get there. Mm-hmm. But then when you start to align your attention and then you put the focus into that, well then, yes, you're going to get there faster than if you didn't, right? Yeah. And that's why flow state is so important. It's the AFF, the second F in Afterburner, is because that is what bolts on the hyperdrive, punch it chewy. Yeah. And suddenly stars are whipping by. Yeah. Because it's not like we talk about the 1 month day. Yeah. Right. And that's really that's just beginner level. Yeah. Actually, beginner level is let's get you to where you can take 90 minutes to 2 hours in a really clear focus state and achieve more than you have like in the last couple of days. Right. True focus work, like on non-distracted deep work. And then like a 1 month day is really like we're talking like you're just getting in the game. You're just dipping your toe in. Yeah. Because if you want to really move it, then you start leveraging many of those and linking those together and deploying many 1 month days. Right. Yeah. Because now you are you're moving Afterburner to hyperdrive and light speed. Right. Yeah. So your comment right there about punch it chewy, just that was a visualization for me of grabbing the balls by the future and grab the future balls and then drag them into the present. Yeah. So that, just the visual of the light speed of where they are and where they want to be, just that's exactly it. So you're right there. Yeah. So the idea is, like you just said, we want to reach into the future, grab it by the balls, and drag it into the present. And it was just, I only remember it because I talk about it in the program, and that's literally the visualization that we give. Mm-hmm. It's, you can hit the Afterburner, but again, that's really just the start of game because most people can't fathom hitting the hyperdrive and launching into light speed. Yeah. Yeah. Because they've never even been able to have even time in a day where they could focus and achieve an important thing. Mm-hmm. Because we perpetually run at a pace where we're just doing all the things, putting out fires, answering emails, taking phone calls, doing all the things that seem really important, but they're not important. Right. They feel important, but they're stealing our focus away from what truly matters and what we need, what the attention should be. And because we do that, we don't have any fuel in the tank. We can't even fire the Afterburner. And as a result, flame out, engine dies, crash into the ocean, goose is dead. Yeah. Goose is dead. Goose. So hopefully this is really and that's why we'll continue to talk about this framework, is because it is a foundational framework. This is how you create true speed in your business, because all of the other things, so how you deploy certain leverage. So whether it's labor, whether it's capital, whether it's code, whether it's content, kind of Naval Ravikant speaks about those kind of four major types of leverage. So, labor and capital they're intensive, right? They're hard. They're much harder, but you have code and content, which are kind of like democratized, which means like anyone can do them. Anyone can learn how to code. Anyone can create content. So those are really, we're right here. We're using leverage content as leverage, right? But like all of those things, then like you figure those out after once you are able to leverage a flow state.
Yeah.
But that is your ability to reclaim your attention, your focus are really foundational. Because you can have all of those things in the world. Like you can try to be doing content, but if you don't have the attention and the focus and the flow behind it, it's going to take you so much longer to get there.
Yeah.
You're probably not really effective at it. And you're probably trying to do 5 other things. Is that the most important thing that you should be doing? Right? Where it's really dialing it back. And that's where you're going to just learn to, as you start to focus in on the most important thing, which is your attention, focus, flow, and result time. Yeah. Then you're going to learn how to deploy those types of leverage faster. And what leverage specific to you do you need to deploy? And then you're going to have the skill set to deploy that even faster. Right. And then now you have, and then as you do that more and more, you're developing this skill set. You're able to say no to more and more things because you realize how much more that detracts and how much energy that steals away, how much additional decisions and energy that drains from your prefrontal cortex, and why your brain is tired at the end of the day is because you've spent all day making decisions and doing things that you didn't need to be doing. And suddenly you can reclaim all of that, and you're now putting all that additional focus into a flow state, and now you're even accelerating even faster. And now you're going to go from Afterburner to light speed. Is that good? Is that how's that for?
That answers, answers what I had in my mind. But hopefully that answers it for you guys.
I mean, that's why we have a comment section.
Yeah.
Right? We want to hear your comments. So it's, what additional questions do you have about the Afterburner framework and where can you learn more?
And what things didn't make sense? Like if you want more context on certain areas.
We definitely want to hear that. So with that being said, we'll close this out. Which remember, we also have our Burnout to Breakthrough Masterclass. We want to invest in you. And the first step to be able to deploy the Afterburner framework is to start reclaiming your mental energy and your time. So going through that neuroscience-backed masterclass is going to give you back that horsepower to be able to start to implement the Afterburner framework and achieve the life that you've always dreamed about, which is only one day away. And so with that, everyone, we are Biz Meds. My name is Darris.
My name is Saad.
And we thank you for being with us here today. If you are an OG, like our moms and a few other people, we thank you. We love you. Mom, Saad's mom, we love you. If you've just joined us, thank you so much. We ask if that you learned anything or you think of someone that can learn from something from this episode, please share it. We'll do the Andy for Salad. Don't be a hoe. Share the show.
Yeah.
Love it. And with that, remember, you are just one day away from the life you've always dreamed about. We will see you in the next episode.